is the order of service. The chalice is a symbol of our faith, and our chalice lighting marks the beginning of our worship service. I will light mine and share our reading, and then if you are online, I invite you to light yours if you have one. And if you like, you can use the chat to post the name of the street where the chalice was lit. We gather into this circle. We gather into this circle of care to dream, to envision, to embody and achieve the compassion we dream, the justice we envision, the dignity of each in an ever-growing circle of love and justice.
Good morning. Here, and the bridge team gave us permission to take off our masks as Omicron finally comes down a little bit. So I'm glad about that. And I'm glad to be with all of you here in person. I'm glad to be with all of you who are here from home. My name is Ellen Quadgrass. I am the minister here. And I want to focus this month, where our focus this month is widening our circle of care and love and justice. And today, in support of our Team Renewal's efforts to update and renew our welcoming congregation status, I want to widen our circle by centering voices of those who identify as trans, non-binary, and genderqueer in particular. These are perspectives that are too frequently on the margins, but whose life experiences and ideas are so important to hear and to connect with. The frontierness of this work is indicated also by the number of comments I found on our Facebook page on Saturday. You see Tracy nodding because she gets them as well. It's clear that this work is crucial in our time. There is a lot of misunderstanding, confusion, and bias out there. And I'm pleased that Westminster is a place where we teach ourselves and learn together and bring open hearts out into the world for everyone. And this perspective of our genderqueer, non-binary, and trans siblings, friends, and family is really important. It's a perspective that is wider, deeper, more accepting and loving of the human body in particular, of the human self, of the human being in all its wonderful forms and expressions. As we deepen into worship this morning with these words by Reverend Sharon Wiley, they were written for Transgender Day of Visibility. I invite you to think of someone who you know identifies as trans, non-binary, or genderqueer. Hold them in your heart as you hear these words, and also hold yourself in your heart. Hold all of us in your heart as I share these words. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you, every part of you, beautiful, just the way you are. Here, you do not need to be something more or something less. There's no holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. There is nothing to prove here. There's nothing to prove to me or to the person sitting next to you or to your children or to anyone. You don't have to try to be witty or more quiet or more outgoing. You are beautiful just the way you are. Each and every one of us, each and every one of you, different from each other and beautiful in your own beautiful way. And in that spirit, let us worship together. With our opening hymn, please rise in body or in spirit. You're invited, if you're in person, to hum along. Bruce will be up front with Nonetta, both singing in masks. And then I invite you to rise in body or in spirit.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. Flows a river flowing in my heart. Flows a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. Somebody flowing in my heart. There's a wonder filling in my mind. There's a flowing in my mind. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Thank you, Bruce and Nonetta. Please remain standing if you were in person or if you were at home. And let us say together our unison affirmation, which is found in your order of service or in the chat. Love is the spirit of this church, and service our mission. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated.
Good morning. My name is Kamila Bashakovsky, and I'm a pastoral care associate here at Westminster, along with Sue Bolins and Rob DeLong. Reverend Ellen is available for pastoral counseling, but we are available for listening and supporting anyone who needs a listening ear. Our contact information is in the chat, and in the order of service. So, as we gather in community, we carry life's truths and its great joys, recognizing that joys shared are multiplied and hurts shared can be lightened. We invite you to share your joys and sorrows in the chat, and I will read the joy and sorrow that has been written down in person as Renee lights each candle and as Nonetta plays.
Let us gather our hearts and minds in a spirit of prayer or meditation. I invite you to notice your breath. Notice breathing in. And slowly now, breathing out. Breathing in. And gently now, breathing out. Listen to your own breath. Listen to another's breath. Whether you are here in the sanctuary, in this sanctuary, or if you're at home with a family member or a cat or dog, or whether you're at the local coffee shop, listen. I invite you to place your hand on your chest if you want to. Again, feel, hear your breath going in and going out. Some of us hear with our ears the sounds we make and the sounds that others make. Some of us hear with our eyes. That we watch lips and hands and body movements. Some of us hear with our bodies, feel vibrations in the air and on our skin. I invite you to continue noticing and listening in the many ways you know how. As we breathe together, so do we live together. So let us breathe in and breathe out, together and apart. We are many and we are one. Let's take a few moments now for silent reflection and meditation and prayer. Amen. I invite you to hum along for our song and response meditation on breathing.
Our February Share the Plate recipient is the College Crusade. The College Crusade prepares and inspires young people in Rhode Island to become the first in their families to attend and complete college. College Crusade helps students from middle school all the way through post-secondary education be an engaging and diverse staff representative of the communities that they serve. The goals are to address barriers to education and economic empowerment for their students. The other half of the offering goes to support all the other good work of this community. You can donate using the link that is now being put in the chat. You may also mail a check directly to the College Crusade of Rhode Island at 134 Thurbers Avenue, Providence, 02905. Please include "From Westminster Unitarian Church" in the comment field. If you are here in person, we ask that you use your cell phone to click on the donate button on the Westminster website, or you can leave your offering in the box on the table after service. The offering will now be given and received with gratitude. Today's reading is by Jess Reynolds. Here is a truth. Being a human being is hard. It's harder for some folks than others. Certainly harder for people of color than for white people. Harder for queer and trans and intersex people than harder for disabled and chronically ill people than abled people, and so on. None of this negates the fact that we're all struggling through, that sometimes we all feel like we've been dropped in the middle of a lake when we've never learned to swim. Here is another truth. Art makes it easier. I make art to help me handle being a human being, and I consume art for the same purpose. My work often stems from one question: what do I need to hear? When my heart yearns to be told to be still and find peace, I write what I need. When my soul aches for something to light it aflame, I write what I need. When I am desperate for a signpost that says I'm on the right path, I write what I need. It is a happy coincidence of being human that other people can also find comfort and courage and steadiness in the things I write. Being human is hard, especially, as Jess Reynolds she wrote, especially for people of color and especially for queer, trans, and intersex people. And art does make it easier, especially art that expresses courage and comfort and steadiness. Art also makes things more real, more tangible, more true, and more relatable, as do stories, as do personal testimonies, all of which I want to share with you today. In this culture, most of us have been steeped in particular ideas around gender and sexuality, so steeped that we can't even tell most of the time that they are ideas. So we have a chance today, again, to begin again, to reveal through words and experiences of those who really understand how gender and sexuality
can keep us all anxious and apart in 1,000 different ways, and how a deeper perspective can open us all up. Our first reading is by Jacob Tobia, pronouns they, them, from their book, Sissy, a coming of age story, which I found through Reverend Jack Grade. Here's the setup. As a child, Jacob told their mom that they wanted to dress up for Halloween like their favorite character from a movie, who happened to be a woman. This was their explanation of that moment. The silence was deafening. You know, when you tell someone you're in love with them, and within 2 nanoseconds, before they can even utter a word, you know they don't reciprocate. This was like that. I knew from the moment the words left my lips that it wasn't going to happen, Jacob writes. My mom paused and let out a deep sigh as her gears turned. How could she explain to me what I needed to know? How could she tell me what I needed to hear? If we had grown up in a different world, in a more perfect universe, in an alternate, less racist, less misogynistic reality, perhaps that would have been the moment when she would pause, collect her thoughts, and cautiously say what needed to be said. Something like this. I know you are more feminine than other boys. I know you love dresses and flowers and playing with your grandmother's jewelry. And I love that about you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with who you are, and I will support you no matter what. But I also want to help you understand the world you are growing up in. You're growing up in a world where many people, your brother, father, your classmates, your peers, random strangers on the street, you name it, are going to be hostile to you because of your femininity. People are going to spend most of your life making you feel less than. Knowing that, I want to help you make an informed decision. Would you rather go as a more socially acceptable costume, like a pumpkin or some other equally stupid vegetable, thereby avoiding the torment of your peers? Or are you ready to put on a dress and bravely face the world? Whatever you choose, I will support you and love you and hug you when it feels like it's too much. Okay? But in our universe, instead of Jacob's mom saying all that, she simply turned to me, Jacob said, with a quiet look of concern, and sheepishly asked, how about a boy character from the movie? Our next reading comes from Take Me With You, a collection of works by spoken word poet Andrea Gibson, pronouns they, them. These 3 pieces were also relayed to me through Reverend Jack Grade. Coming into your own humanity often takes enormous effort, commitment, and bravery. I believe we should be taught that at an early age. I believe part of the violence of our culture stirs from the myth that kindness is natural. I don't think kindness is natural, Andrea writes. I think kindness would only be natural in a world where no one is hurt. And everyone is hurt. So kindness is work. Kindness is our knees in the garden weeding our bites, our apathies, our cold shoulders, our silences, our cruelties, whatever taught us the word only. I said to the sun, tell me about the Big Bang. And the sun said, it hurts to become. Today in the grocery store, a woman stopped in her tracks and refused to walk beside me down the stairway, saying, and I swear this is true, I don't want to walk next to you because you're gay. I think it was the simple fact of it that stunned me more than some intended insult screamed out of a car window might have stunned me. My heart has been rattled all day because of it. And then I saw this tree, this beautiful, beautiful tree. And I want to find a shovel and find that woman's house and plant this tree in her front yard while she's sleeping. And I want her to wake up to the bloom of it, smiling. And I want no one but God to tell her who it's from. Here's a poem in response, a prayer for my queer and trans siblings by Jess Reynolds. And Nonetta will accompany me as I read this poem. Here you are. Holy because you are here. Here you are, Jess writes to their queer and trans siblings. Your heart pumping is a wonder because it keeps you alive. Your loving heart is a blessing because it keeps all of us alive. The spirit of love has a home in you. May we all see that love in you and let our hearts become mirrors for the compassion at your core. The spirit of justice has a home in you. May we light our wicks from one another until we are all aflame. Until we burn out every prejudice we carry in these bones. Here you are, holy as you are. Blessed be. By Jalen Pamela Scott, pronouns she, her, written in February 25th, 2018. For many trans and gender non-conforming persons, the days of our lives, Jalen writes, are often marked by anxiety and shakiness and fear. For many of us, it feels as if we are flailing about, overwhelmed with the tasks of transition and forced to put on an armor of confidence in order to survive. Fragile and unsure, we continually show strength in the face of violence and hate. Though our spirits might tremble, she writes, we commit daily acts of bravery by waking up, getting dressed, and stepping out into this terrifying world. With weariness in our spirits, we wonder if we will find the energy to continue. May we, in these moments of weariness, remember the words of Audre Lorde. Caring for yourself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. May these words ignite our faithfulness to this difficult journey toward trans visibility and justice. Trans and gender non-conforming people are compelled to tell our stories again and again, although these stories are often unfinished and unclear. Our lives are filled with unanswered questions. Who will now love us in our new bodies? How shall we show up physically today? Will we be able to receive the medical care we need? Can we get a job? Will we survive this trip to the supermarket? Nevertheless, we persist in loudly proclaiming our true name. And we do this out of compassion, knowing that a world without transness is a crude and dull existence. Trans persons navigate loss, change, and transition with grace and beauty. Trans persons of color do it with fierceness and passion and soul. Our theology teaches us to persist in spite of one's pain, to love those who hate us, and to continue fighting even though we are exhausted. It is ironic that it is trans theology that our society so badly needs, and yet it actively kills and silences the holders of this theology. A person's ability to live with paradox, irony, and contradiction indicates spiritual maturity. The spiritual power of trans persons shows up in our determination to live hopefully in the face of despair. The theology that underpins our strength exemplifies how to cope with contradiction and paradox. It is in our lives that trans theology bleeds through. At its core is the knowledge that there is magic to be found in groundlessness and contradictions. Trans theology understands that beauty happens when things fall apart. With the vanishing of that which we hold dearly, the possibility of new love arises. When we say goodbye to comfort and convenience, we have an opportunity to discover and to be our authentic selves. A poem in response. This is for Transgender Day of Visibility, written by the Reverend Teresa Inés Soto. Dear trans, non-binary, genderqueer, and gender expansive friends and kin. Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up. You are not hard to love and respect. Your existence is a blessing. Your pronouns are not a burden or a trial. They are part of your name, just shorter. Someone getting them wrong is not a poor reflection on you. It is not your fault. And your body really and truly belongs to you, no one else. The stories of your body, the names of your body parts, your body's privacy, the sum of your body's glory. It is not okay for anyone to press their story of you back to the beginning of our liberation. We will find the people ready to be on the freedom for the people way, and we will go on. No one can rename you other. It can't stick as you offer the gift of being and saying who you are. Mostly, though, your stories belong to you. Your joy and complexity are beautiful, however you may choose to tell it or not tell it. Some folks may take their liberty for an unholy license, but you are beloved. Please keep to our shared task of healing and getting free. Our last reflection is from Carrie McDonald, who also happens to be Executive Vice President of our Unitarian Universalist Association. It's also written in February of 2018. Carrie McDonald happens to be a straight cisgendered male, but his perspective I found particularly on point and wanted to include in this service. I never realized, Carrie writes, how truly complex gender could be until I had to try to explain it to my 2-year-olds. How do we know which pronouns to use for others? Why do we have all these words like woman or daddy or girl when we are all people? What does it mean to have long hair? As a straight cisgendered adult, Carrie writes, it is all too easy for me to gloss over the full complexity of the gender and sexuality spectrum, or to forget I ever asked questions about sex and identity that confront us from such an early age. And while my kid hasn't asked about race yet, we are due for an awkward public comment about skin color any day now. We are a mixed race family, which means that we will be navigating the inside-outside nature of racial dialogue and appearance. I often think about how I can help my son, lighter skinned than I am, move through the world with deep awareness, both of his personal heritage and of the brutal reality of race in this country. One of the best things religious communities like ours can do is to create a supportive environment for kids to learn positive values about identity and love in families. The Our Whole Lives curriculum of sexuality education is a rightful source of pride for many Unitarian Universalists, affirming healthy, principled approaches to sexuality and relationship throughout the lifespan. As a faith tradition that has flown rainbow flags for decades, even when it represented more than aspiration than for the reality, more of an aspiration for inclusion than the reality. UUs have been a public beacon of religious support for LGBTQ+ people for decades. But more than any program or initiative, it is the lived experience of queer and non-binary folks in our congregations that is the real measure of inclusivity. Here's where the intersection of race, gender, age, and sexuality play out because the younger generations in our congregations and the whole United States are less straight and less white. The stories and statistics of violence faced by young queer people of color are some of the most heartbreaking truths in our world. But when our congregations can be safe harbors, even if it's only for Sunday morning, it feels like one of the most important things we can do to live our religious values. The queer youth groups, coffee houses, shelters, day proms that our congregations host literally save lives. My church, Carrie writes, has a practice of naming gender pronouns on our name tags, as we at Westminster have begun as well. My son's name tag says, quote, he/him, open parentheses, for now, close parentheses. I have no idea where his journey will take him on the road of gender identity, but I am deeply grateful for a community that makes it normal to ask questions or imagine different ways of being who you are. Unitarian Universalism has much work to do to live up to its full promise of affirming the inherent worth and dignity of every last human being. And it is urgent. It is an urgent call to make that promise true for the faith we pass on to our children. Remembering that we are all hurt, that kindness is work, and that it hurts to become. May we take in the wisdom and heart of those whose lives have taken them deep, beyond the surface of appearances, into a truth grounded in compassion. This is a crucial place and a crucial time. May we practice that openness, that welcome, that radical affirmation here and wherever we go, as together we keep on moving forward. Let us join together for our closing hymn, Keep On Moving Forward. I will share the video in a moment. Please rise in body or in spirit if you are in person. Please rise in body or in spirit if you like, if you're at home. And I need to do something to make this work.
Moving forward, keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, never turning back, never turning back. We're gonna keep on loving boldly, keep on loving boldly, keep on loving boldly, never turning back, never turning back. We're gonna honor those before us, honor those before us, honor those before us, never turning back, never turning back. We're gonna reach across our borders, reach across our borders, reach across our borders, never turning back, never turning back. We're gonna work for change together, for change together. Work for change together. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back.
Please remain standing. Who's called? Please remain standing for our closing words, which I will be able to see in a moment. There they are. These words come from Charlotte Preston. May today there be peace within. May you trust that you are exactly who you were meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith in yourself and others. May you use the gifts you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you. May you be content with yourself just as you are. Let this knowledge settle into your bones and allow your soul the freedom to sing, dance, praise, and love as we together move our words and actions of justice and inclusion forward. May it be so. Amen. Amen. Go in peace, but